Okay, this is a redo from before because the sound was terrible. There was a crazy delay, and it's annoying because I don't know until we finish. So going back to the other audio setup, hopefully this works. Again, I won't know until we're done, but we're making it work, and it'll get better each time. So let's do the same thing. Let's find the chords in a key. I'm on a break again. Let's do this. So we're going to go to G major. And we're going to find all the chords in the key of G major, but this will work for anything. So we're going to start in G. And we're going to build this right off the major scale. Just going up to the 5th scale degree here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you ever heard someone say, oh, we're going to play a 1, 4, 5 chord progression, well, it's based off the scale numbers. That's how you can find them really easily, and I'll show you how to do this right now. So G major, 1, 2, 3, to the A string. Really easy to go back and forth here. Now we're going to look for the 5 chord. 5th fret of the A string, that's a D. So it makes it really easy to get there when you're doing something like this. Now let's check out the pattern overall. We have a G here, that's our 1 chord. If you're looking for the 4 chord, just go up 1 string. You literally just move up and switch to that A-shaped C chord, right? If you're looking for the 5 chord, we'll just move up 2 frets, a whole step. So let's play a 1, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's our 1, 4, 5 in the key of G. Now let's take that and let's move it somewhere else on the fretboard, adapt it to a new key. Let's do C major. That starts at the 8th fret here. So as long as you can find that bass note, in this case 8th fret, C major, really easy to do. We can move this anywhere on the fretboard and you'll be able to find the chords that are in the key. It makes it really easy. So this is going to help with your ear training as well, especially as we go towards the minor chords. Now I want to show you another way to find the chords in a key so we can find the minor chords as well. So we're going to do it this way. We're going to start 3rd fret, and that would be our G. Let's go back to G major again. So we play the major scale this way. Again, going up to the 5th scale degree. Of course, we can take it further. Now, if we start here, what I'm going to do is play the major scale 3 notes per string on the low E and the A string like this, and then we're going to build the chords from there. So we start here. This is G. Okay, so that's 3, 5, 7 on the low E, which is G, A, B, and 3, 5, 7 on the A. And we're going to build the chords off of there. So the only thing you really need to know to understand this are the numbers in the key. So your 1, 4, 5 are major. And the 2, 3, and 6 are your minor chords in a key. That's the only thing you have to memorize to be able to play the chords anywhere on the fretboard. So if we do it that way, then we have 1, 2 minor, which is A minor, 3 minor, which is B minor, 4 C major, 5 D minor, D major, and 6 E minor. So why don't we play a chord progression using these chords in the key of G? Let's do a 1, 6, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4. Now the 5 chord, which is D, back to 1. Awesome. So that makes it really easy to find the chords. Now you can think of this as something called a chord scale, which is essentially playing the G major scale or any major scale or minor scale and harmonizing it with chords. So I'm going to do that one more time, just so we can get this down. We have G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, and E minor. And we're building it right off that pattern, the 3-note per string major scale pattern. So generally, these are the chords that you will find in a song. Most songs will have this sort of chord patterns here, built off of the diatonic chords in a key. Now, diatonic just means that these are the chords that you would get if you built triads off of each scale degree, right? Stacking thirds. So why don't we try this in a new key? Let's try it in the key of C instead of G. Well, we're going to do the exact same thing. It's all finger patterns, right? So if we do 3-note per string C major scale, that's 8, 10, 12 on the low E, and 8, 10, 12 on the A string. I'm using my first finger so you can kind of see the roots. Well, okay, that's 1 major, C major, 2 minor is D minor, 3 minor, E minor, F major is 4 chord, 5 chord G major, and our 6th chord would be A minor here. So, and I'm taking it up to the 6th chord. So your 7th chord would be a diminished chord. I'm not going to talk much about that because it's not something you're going to find generally in a lot of popular music. However, it's very useful when you're studying things like jazz, classical music, and you may find it in some pop songs as well. But for the most part, let's stay to the chords that you're actually going to hear generally. Now, this is really helpful because you can start learning songs by ear this way. And it's really kind of a common thing to work within this framework here. So if we do the same thing, we do a 1, 6, 4, 5 in the key of C. Well, let's switch it up. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do it. One way is to start here. Right? Like that's one way you can do it. But if you have now learned the chord pattern there, you know that it's C, A, F, and G. And again, this is all built off the major scale, which is why it is useful to know the major scale. Whether you know the theory or not, or the notes, it doesn't really matter in this case because you can do it all based off of finger patterns, which I think is really helpful for most hobbyist musicians, right? You're not studying for a degree in music. So why should you have to do all that extra work when you just want to play and have fun, right? It makes more sense. So let's do it another way. Well, we can find C here. We can find an A minor here, an F, and a G here. 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor, F, going to G. So it's really helpful to start to see the patterns. I think you'll also understand the intervals a little bit better as you get comfortable with something like this. And this will be helpful just to kind of learn music without always having to look at the chords, going to Ultimate Guitar, something like that. Like, sure, it can be useful, I think, but it's important to try and learn it first by ear on your own before you do something like that. If it's a song that's incredibly complex and there's a lot of slash chords and inversions, then yeah, maybe it's a little bit tricky to hear by ear. But for the most part, I think many people, if they understood how to find the chords in a key, it sort of narrows down your options and becomes like a multiple choice kind of idea, right? Where you're like, okay, well, I heard the bass go up. Well, what's likely when it started on the 1 chord probably went to 4 or to 5, you know, something like that. And you start to get used to what that sounds like when you play through these progressions going between them. So this is a really easy system to find it. I'll talk one more time just about finding like the 1, 4, 5 in the key for anyone new here. We start here with G major. And I think it's important to understand the way the major scale works, right? Because we're building it all off of there. If you've heard the numbers in the past of 1, 4, 5, 1, 6, 4, 5, and you're like, I don't know what any of that means. Well, that's what it means. It's just referring to the scale degree of whatever key you're in. So in the key of G, if we play the major scale, we have 3, 5 on the 6th string, 2, 3, 5 on the A string. That's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. That's 2, 4, 5 on the D string. So That's it. And we're just going to build the chords off of there. The other way that I did it, for those that are here now, 3, 5, 7 on the E and the A string, and we're going to build the chords off there. That's a 3-note per string major scale, but it's the same thing we played here. If I play the major scale here, or this, well, that second fret on the A string, that B note, is the same exact pitch as the B on the low E string, 7th fret. So if we build from there, you'll have G, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, and you can build all your chords off of there. Now, if you know some fancy tricks in the pentatonic, you can start adding fills, right? So maybe you can start putting things in like that and actually pulling notes from the scale. I'm going to take 4 chords, 1, 6, 4, 5, but I'm going to use the same fill in between, like this. Right? And we can sort of build off of that. The last thing we can do is kind of build off of each individual chord using the pentatonic. I'll do a whole nother live where I talk about this actually, so maybe it's better to hold off so it's not too much in one. But hopefully the sound is better on this one, and you'll actually, when you watch it back, be able to hear it. The last live was really delayed with the audio and video, so it was really hard. And my first live, I put notation up on the screen, but it put me as a tiny little box in the corner, and people said it was hard to see. So hopefully this one's a little better. The sound's not as good because I'm just recording the Spark directly, which I use the Positive Grid Spark for all my videos. And everyone's asking me like the tones and stuff, but honestly, it's just the pre-made sounds that are in there. I didn't even have time to really mess around with it. I've had it for a while, but it works for all my lessons and my videos. So I'm happy with that thing for sure. It was a solid buy, the Spark. Okay, so if you're watching this in the future, hopefully it was helpful. I'll do these more often if you're interested. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.